So it turns out that the trade tariffs are replacing Ross and Rachel from Friends in the will they won't they of our generation. But more on that in a second. Welcome to Cryptocurrents, the weekly blockchain and crypto podcast by people actually in the industry. No shilling, no FOMO, just people actually working in crypto talking about what's happening in the space. Today is February 5th, 2025. Think of us like LinkedIn, except we're not lunatics who tell you that Lord of the Rings taught them about B2C sales. I'm your host, Vince, and today I'm joined by Kale, our resident degen from the Encrypt team,
Hello.
as well as Katya from the Mu team.
Hi, Vince.
Awesome. So we'll get to tariffs and how this is kind of wrecking everyone's bags and making everyone really upset in a bit. But let's talk about something a little bit more positive. Kraken is bringing back staking to the US. Katya, did you see this?
Yes, and let me just correct you a little bit to some of the US because it's, I believe, 37 states-ish. Notably, states like California and New York are not on the list, but they do have a full list on their site. Yeah, no, I thought that was exciting. One of them. One of the signs of the reversal of crypto fortunes in the states, of a bunch of such news lately. And yeah, I was one thing I was confused about. I don't know if you guys are clear on this. They have something called bonded staking and not bonded staking.
Oh my.
Yeah,
No
so
idea.
it's all on chain is what they want to make clear, on chain. So it's the right way to do it. But I think with some of it, it's locked up. And some of it is not. So you know, it takes looking into detail, but it's like a bunch of things, ETH and DOT and Sol, maybe, you know, so a lot of proof of stakes are
Bonds
available.
and chains are what get me going for sure.
Yeah, it's
Kale, what are your
cool.
thoughts on this?
Um, I mean, it's cool. It's gonna make it a lot easier for people who like aren't super technical. You know, to if they just want to add some Solana or add some Tezos or whatever the people are staking these days. And they don't have to do a bunch of flips, a bunch of things on chain. So that's nice. But I mean, as far as it not being available in California and New York, it's confusing to me. Like, why? Why not?
I mean, to be fair, I feel like nothing is available in New York when it comes to crypto.
Yeah, I think so. I think you know. I think the U.S. is just. I sympathize with any foreign companies or providers that are going to work with the U.S. because the concept of this being a country where like the states can have their own laws and that can vary significantly on certain things, I'm sure is a challenge for somebody who wants to bring a service or a company into the states. So that's a whole thing.
I know in previous episodes we talked about how, the states having a lot of autonomy over themselves is one of the things that a lot of people that are not from the United States don't really understand. And so, with the incoming new president, a lot of us are like, well, yeah, we'll see how much he can make the states do whatever they want for crypto. I, for one, am excited to see staking come back to Kraken. I do like Kraken, but I am always a bit hesitant staking after what was it, Gemini? That just
Yeah.
their like staking thing just absolutely bricked, and then it took years and years for a bunch of people, even people we know, to get their ETH back, which is crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
well,
scary. On the other hand, there's always been on-chain staking, so people have technically been blocked in the U.S. Like if they want to do it on a centralized exchange, but
Yeah. I mean, at the same time, I do think any staking anywhere is really good, just to kind of like that is like core principle of crypto, and I think it's
yeah,
good to anyone to kind of touch that and better understand it in whatever way they can.
yeah. And to be
100%.
fair, like the only way to do staking on any proof of stake chain, like just cold stone decentralized, as if you're running your own node, if you're running your own entire thing, which nobody's going to do. I mean, some people do.
Sure.
Katya
None of
does.
us are going to do. I am not going to do. Yeah. So, so to be fair, to be really strict about it and to be really purist about it is unrealistic and bad for the chains because they need more people to stake for it to be more secure and more decentralized.
Sure.
Okay, speaking of decentralization, Deepseek. I know that it's 1 week after Deepseek made a big splash. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Like, it's definitely adding to the AI mix, and is quote unquote open source. What are your guys' thoughts? Because I have a lot of thoughts on AI. You know this.
Well, you don't just have thoughts. You tried it,
Very
right?
strong opinions.
And found
Oh, yeah.
some interesting things. No.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's interesting. Obviously, DeepSeek, if you don't know, is the quote-unquote open source new AI out of China that has some interesting guardrails on it. It won't provide answers related to the Tank Man, that famous photo right before the Tiananmen Square massacre of the guy with the groceries standing in front of the tanks. It starts to answer and then it'll delete the answer and be like, this is out of scope. But I did find out you can make it write lovely poems and songs about the event as long as you kind of disguise it in the styles of Rogers and Hammerstein, which really shows that I have an arts degree. But
Yeah.
what are you guys' thoughts on this? And I guess AI in general.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. It seems like a lot of the AI nerds are in a frenzy on Twitter, at least. But the
In a
way
frenzy, which way?
I mean, from what I understand, people are afraid that this is gonna ruin the U.S. AI economy, or that China is now so far ahead that it's over for the U.S. But I don't know. The way I see it, it's competition is good. Without competition, devs wouldn't be incentivized to make anything better. So I don't know. I'm not really worried about it. It's cool to see developments happen, whether they're from China or whatever country. And yeah, plus EV for the AI space overall, in my opinion.
Okay. Katya?
Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of the Tank Man story is super relevant in the sense that if an open source AI can do something like that, what does any AI model is capable of faking or censoring, or we have no insight. We can't look at the code. Even when it's open source, I could look at the code. I'm not going to understand what it says.
That's a 0, a 1, a bracket.
Yeah. So where is it blocking the Tank Man? Show me. Ask OpenAI.
Control F, Tank Man.
Yeah. I'm going to go and ask OpenAI how Deepseek is blocking the Tank Man, and that'll be a full day. But I mean, with crypto, there's also been a lot of talk how AI agents can influence crypto and how we trade crypto. And so I think it's kind of the butterfly effect, like the chaos theory, that any ghost in any of these machines is amplified in every other machine, whether it's a different AI or cryptocurrency, the blockchain. And the permutations of that effect are very interesting and very unpredictable, I think. And it adds layers of complexity to how we interact with these machine learning in the digital world. Very intriguing, very scary. And those things usually go together, so that's fine.
That's true. I mean, I do we all obviously work on open source products. And so the fact that they are, going for the open source of it all is really exciting to me, if that is accurate. But I guess we'll see. And I agree with you, Kale. Competition is always good. So I guess we'll have to see. And to your point, Katya, none of these AIs can find the R in blueberry still.
Or strawberry, for that matter. Still, yeah. What is it about the berries just trips it up?
I mean, I think we all just think it's too funny, and no one can be bothered to solve the problem. They just hotfix it, and so you change berries, and then it's like, I got nothing. I got nothing.
One berry at a time, every hot fix.
Pretty much. All right, moving on. Speaking of berries, let's talk about Opensea. It's kind of a name I haven't heard in a while. Going out there, getting the fresh NFT berries. They're rolling out a new version, which is exciting to see. I haven't heard about NFTs because we all were went through the big NFT craze and we were all kind of like, this is fun, but this is a little much. So I'm intrigued to see them in the news again because they also used to be worth a lot of money, and maybe they're going to be worth a bunch of money again. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
It's cool to see them drop a V2. The airdrop feels like, or the airdrop tease at least, that they've been teasing for the past couple years, feels like they're grasping at any last relevance that they can. Mm-hmm. Because at this point, the competition for NFT marketplaces is just too much. I haven't used OpenSea since like 2021. There's lots of other options at this point, and yeah, I don't know. I don't really like how they keep teasing an airdrop and then not doing it.
Everyone kind of likes to tease airdrops. It's just kind
True.
of
You know what also like really turned me off to OpenSea recently was this might have been a rumor. Honestly, I didn't look into it too deeply, but apparently they're not rewarding the users from 2020 to 2021 for the airdrop. Yeah, so if you were active on OpenSea during that time, 2020 to 2021, which is like their most
Why
active.
that time?
Well, I mean, nobody knows. Who knows? You have to ask OpenSea. It's probably because
no explanation even why that particular.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to guess, it's because they had too many users, and they don't want to give out that much money, or I don't know what it is, what the tokenomics and math or whatever, why they decided. But yeah, it's kind of meh. I would like to see the 2020 users rewarded, but we'll see. Time will tell.
I mean, at the same time, like, I always get a bit bored in crypto when the only incentive and the only reason people do stuff is for an airdrop. Like, as someone that's been in the space
true,
for
yeah, not true.
Yeah.
almost a decade, I'm like, come on, let's actually see something beyond this.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like the airdrop, I think was the potential airdrop was like, the most interesting thing about it, and it's kind of like because there's a lot of comparison to Blur because apparently they copied some of the interface things for their update. I confess I'm not a user of Blur nor an active user of OpenSea, but so I don't know whether that criticism is valid. But one of the points about it is that Blur did a token drop right in the beginning because they were trying to vampire users from OpenSea. But OpenSea still hasn't, so it kind of still has that up its sleeve, and it's kind of about the timing of token drops and how you play that card, which you can kind of do once.
Yeah.
So I think that's an interesting point about token strategy. But I agree with you, Vince, because I work in comms and content, and I've gone to industry events where people would talk about marketing and comms, and it's all about, what do you do towards the TGE, which is the token generation event, which is the PC way to say ICO or drop or
money falls
not
from
non-committal way, right? To say so. TGE before up to towards the TGE, before the TGE, after the TGE, and it kind of gets tiresome. I agree with you because you're like, okay, let's imagine there's no TGE, that we are not working towards a token, that we are not like trying to get users. We're just trying to build a good product that will be used because it's a good. So yeah, so it's a narrative that gets very tiresome. I agree.
One thing that I think is interesting in thinking about this is I've never bought or sold an NFT. I've only ever minted NFTs.
Wow.
When was the last time you guys like either bought or sold an NFT, if ever?
Not me. I've also minted NFTs, from an initial release from a collection. I've paid fees, obviously, on minting, but I haven't traded NFTs.
I just sold an NFT like last month.
Okay. Okay. I mean, that's why you're a degen and we're the boring people that are like, oh, yes, I want to put the warranty for my washing machine on blockchain in the form of an NFT.
I mean, it definitely wasn't on Opensea though.
Well, let's see if they can win you back somehow.
Yeah, that would be nice.
And so other versions of new stuff that is kind of making the news is the Uniswap V4. Katya, talk to me a little bit about this. What is going on?
Yeah, so Uniswap, obviously, because this is 4, has done this multiple times before. I remember, I remember when V2 was like a huge deal. It made the platform like much more complicated for some, and there were warnings that like if you are not an experienced user, you should really key stick to the original version, etc. Then there was V3, V4. Apparently utilizes something called hooks. They're like plugins.
Not the pirate.
No, not the pirate hooks.
Not the pirates.
Although, I'm not an expert. Who knows? There might be pirates. Pirates are definitely involved.
Pirates
Anywhere
possible.
in crypto trading, there will be pirates. But I think the entire gist is about making it more customizable, more pliable to users who want to play with fees, play with how the smart contracts are going to work. So give a lot of power to the user. However, I think it's clear that that user who is empowered has to be a pretty experienced user and to understand what they're doing or risk have an even greater risk of kind of shooting themselves in the foot, trying to do something they're not prepared for. But that's the extent of my familiarity with it.
Kale, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know anything about it. I used to use Uniswap V2, and then by the time V3 came out, I was mostly transacting on Solana. And so I kind of skipped all of the Uniswap V3 era. And now V4 is out, and I feel kind of like lost in the sea. Like, I don't really even know what's the difference between V4.
Is it the Opensea you're
Absolutely not.
Kale, maybe you just had it right all along, because at the same time, so Uniswap is, it's like the biggest, I want to say one of the biggest dexes. It's probably the biggest dex on Ethereum. But I saw somewhere that Radium on Solana just surpassed Uniswap in volume for like the first time ever per month in January.
Wow.
So you are on the winning train, I guess, if you skip, move
Skipping
Solana and stay there.
V3. Yeah, I mean, that's crazy to hear, but I believe it.
So something that jumps out to me with both this and the Opensea is it's a comms and marketing problem with crypto that we all fall prey to as well, is the concept of being like V2 is new and interesting. V3, like,
It's better.
It's better, but like also normal people don't know these words and they also don't care. I mean, I feel like Apple kind of, tried to hide this with being like, now we're on the iOS called Gumball or whatever. But I think it's silly that all of crypto, us included, suffer this problem of like number go up, get excited. And I just wonder, would we be better off naming these things like Gumball or Turbo or whatever to try and actually make it more of a brand exercise to bring in normal people as opposed to being like, hey, tech nerds, tech improved.
Yeah, true that. That's such a great point. Because, I mean, even for us, like, we are literally working in the industry 5 days a week at least. And yeah, like I said, I don't know the difference between V3 and V4. Like, somebody needs to explain it to me.
Yeah.
But it would be nice if there was just like a cool branded name for everyone.
But also, like, I feel like a lot of some of these updates, like Uniswap is probably the best example, is like more bells and whistles. You can do more things. And you're over here like, I'm still trying to swap my ETH for USDT for 3 years now. I haven't succeeded yet. So it's, I think it's also about like
the little quiver in your voice. That was great.
A little. If I was a better actress, I would do like a single tier. But and I mean, I'm sure that, that there are a lot of people out there like that because they're like, I'm still trying to understand. Just recently, like I spoke to a user at work and they were like, oh, I'm trying to move some tokens from this wallet to that wallet for like a year now. Like a person, this poor person is trying to do this thing that should take them 5 minutes for a year for whatever reason. Like they weren't getting the answers they were looking for. So a lot of the time, I think one side of crypto is going like, more features for power users. Do this, write a smart contract, make a swap that goes 15 different ways at the same time, and so you can MEV over here and MEV over there and extract value and all that stuff. And on one hand, we're still trying to get to things that do one thing really well, really consistently, really simply. And so It's just two sides.
Yeah. And this brings us to our final story. Let's talk about tariffs. Let's talk about the will they, won't they, and shockingly for me, I'll kind of like get us started here. Everyone always talks about how like Bitcoin is a store of value, and if the US dollar goes to zero, Bitcoin will survive. But I'm over here watching my stock portfolio and my crypto portfolio move in lockstep. Just massive swings up and down because of these trade tariffs of, yes, we're doing them. Oh, maybe 30 days. Oh, there's concessions. And for me, it's kind of like, is it time to abandon that narrative that crypto is not just a different version of a stock? Or is this just extenuating circumstances of scared money not wanting to get caught holding the bag?
I mean, like, I think I was thinking about that too. And even with Deepseek, when we were talking about it, tech got scared and the market tanked because they were like, what are all of these AI companies in the US even doing? But crypto suffered as well. So as much as we want to say crypto is a whole different financial system, alternative financial system, it goes right along with the rest of the market. And I think if it's because, not because, one of the factors is that we always say we want more institutional investment to bolster the market, to make it stronger, the crypto market. But institutional investment is not nerds who think crypto is going to win, the end of the world is going to come, aliens will come, and ETH will be the only thing standing. That's not institutional investment. Institutional investment are the people who invest in crypto and oil and, all of those things. And so because the volume of that investment is becoming larger, which is on one hand good for the market, it moves, those people move along with the traditional market. It is just another stock to them. So...
Yeah, that makes sense. Especially because I've heard Larry Fink tease in the past that like he wants every single stock thing to be tokenized on chain. So like if that's what the people at BlackRock are pushing for, I'm sure it's just a matter of time before it's like literally undeniable that like everything on chain is just like a new stock market. Probably just a matter of time, in my opinion.
So then, explain to me why you agree with that. Like, why do we actually need to tokenize stocks? My stocks are just fine in my Schwab account as they are. Why do I need to tokenize this?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really thought about it too deeply. I don't necessarily think we should or shouldn't. It's just something I've heard Larry Fink say, Yeah. But from what I do know, it's like, yeah, I don't see a huge advantage to it other than it's like easier to track money on chain, maybe. It's like harder for companies to launder money or do like shady stuff. But I mean, other than that, yeah, I don't know.
Never sleeps, right?
That too, yeah. Yeah. So there's some advantages.
That was always fascinating when Trump announced the tariffs on like Friday after market closed, and then watching crypto absolutely nosedive all weekend. And I'm like, well, guess we know how the S&P is going to open on Monday. And it did open down, but then recovered. So it's... I think it's going to be a volatile year, to say the least.
Yeah, it was funny. Bitcoin went down on the weekend, and then the markets opened on Monday, and Bitcoin went down some more. Perfect.
I mean, it is what it is. So I guess until we kind of can change that narrative, where I think we're going to be in lockstep with more general markets for quite some time. All right, well, this brings us to the end of the show. I hope you feel smarter. You should. And you also are looking more attractive after listening to the show. But if you agreed with what we said, if you disagreed with what we said, come and tell us on Twitter or X, whatever you call it. All of our handles are below, as well as information on all of our projects. Make sure you follow this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're going to be doing this week over week. Leave us a 5-star review, and we'll see you in the next week. Thanks for coming, Kale. Thanks for coming, Katya.
Bye, Vince. See you soon.
Bye-bye.